In the quiet state of Ohio lives a young man named Vincent. Desperate for money, he decides to sell his family home so he can pay for his father's medical treatment. His father is in the hospital, recovering from a serious accident that nearly took his life. When the old man hears that Vincent plans to sell the house, he feels deeply hurt. He and his late wife had spent years working hard to buy that home, and now it's about to be sold. But Vincent assures him that everything will be fine. He's working as an electrical technician and expects to get a promotion next year, which he hopes will bring in enough money to make things right. One day, while Vincent is repairing the wiring in another family's home, a family that also seems to be struggling financially, the husband receives a long-awaited letter. After reading it, he tells his wife that he needs to leave, but refuses to say why. Frustrated, she shouts that he can go to hell. He replies coldly that that's exactly where he's heading. In his mind, this hell is a chance to earn enough money to win back his wife's love. The following day, while continuing his electrical work in the same house, Vincent overhears the husband speaking to someone about a deal involving a large sum of money. The man gives a few important instructions before locking himself in a room. Inside, he takes out a syringe and injects himself with something dangerous. His wife later checks on him and discovers he's no longer breathing. Horrified, she screams for help. After testifying to the police about what happened, Vincent prepares to go home, but something nags at him. He remembers the mysterious letter the husband had received before his death. Thinking it might lead him to whatever money the man had mentioned, Vincent searches through the drawers, finds the letter, and secretly takes it. The letter instructs him to pick up a package from courier service. Vincent follows the directions and collects it, discovering a phone and another note inside with more cryptic instructions. The message sends him to a big city, so he lies to his family, saying he's there for a job interview. To his surprise, he's told to check into a luxurious hotel. Later that night, the phone from the package rings. A distorted voice on the other end gives him his next task. Use a key he has to open a mailbox. The next morning, Vincent follows the instructions and finds a small wooden board marked with the number 13, and beside it, a train ticket that will take him further into the mystery. He uses the ticket to go to a station, then takes a taxi, and finally arrives at a place far from the city. Sometime later, a man comes in a car and shows the board with the number 13, so Vincent shows his as well and is told to come closer. After the driver takes Vincent's phone, he is taken to a small house, this time located in the middle of a forest with many mysterious people there. His curiosity turns into confusion when he is told to remove all his clothes, including his shoes, which are destroyed, just to make sure that he is not a spy carrying hidden surveillance equipment. Eventually, Vincent arrives at the main destination, a big house with lots of luxury cars. After being told to sit, two people enter and seem surprised to see Vincent, especially one named Joe, because Vincent is not the person they expected to meet. After more people come to talk to Vincent, he starts to explain how he ended up there, hoping to do a job that could earn him a lot of money.
Very courageous.
As a result, Joe's friends become confused about what they should do, and they suspect that Vincent might be a police spy. One of Joe's friends suggests running away, but Joe believes that if they run and the house gets exposed to the police, the other bosses in the house will come after them until they're dead. Feeling like he already makes things worse, Vincent offers to leave, but Joe says that it's too late for that because Vincent already has to play a game with a huge cash prize, even if he refuses. The game is called Russian Roulette, a deadly head-shooting game where each player is given a revolver, a firearm with a 6-chamber cylinder for bullets. The way to play is that the players stand in a circle, load one bullet into the cylinder, and keep spinning it until a referee tells them to stop. That way, no player knows whether they will shoot or not, because the bullet must align with the barrel to fire. Then, each player must point the revolver at the head of the player in front of them, while another player points a revolver at their own head from behind, waiting for a signal from a light bulb in the center to fire. As a result, some players die and some survive, making it clear that this is a death game. This death game is watched by many spectators who are the bosses, and they bet a lot of money on their chosen players. If a boss's player dies, the boss can bet on another player in the next round with a profit-sharing system, allowing both the player and the boss to earn more money. Most players in this game are people who don't have money, ex-criminals, and even people with unstable mental health from psychiatric hospitals. Some of them are desperate to get rich, while others are forced to join this death game. The death game begins with instructions from the referee. But when Vincent tries to load the bullet into the cylinder, he struggles because it's his first time handling a firearm. So the driver who brings him there tries to help, but the referee says no one except staff is allowed in the game area. However, the driver explains that Vincent doesn't know how to load the bullet, so the referee allows it. While listening to the referee's instructions, Vincent feels anxious about his life in this death game. He gets scolded for not looking forward. When he is told to focus on a light bulb, his anxiety increases until the bulb lights up. In the end, he is not shot in the head, while several other players are. But the referee notices something strange. It turns out Vincent hasn't fired his gun because he doesn't have the heart to do it.
Number 13 did not shoot!
So the referee warns Mr. Joe that if his player refuses to shoot, the committee will kill Vincent and fine Mr. Joe.
What the f*** are you doing? Pull the trigger!
Because of that, Joe tells Vincent to shoot, and when the referee counts down from 3, Vincent pulls the trigger, and the player in front of him is not shot. After realizing the death game he plays, Vincent becomes stressed and emotional. He refuses to take anything that can calm him down when a driver offers it. Sometime later, during a break, the players are called to return and play again, with several of them still feeling anxious, stressed, and scared. In round 2, the referee says the bullets increase to 2, so the chance of getting a headshot rises. The players follow the referee's instructions, and when the light bulb turns on, more players get headshots, but not Vincent. He survives before the player behind him pulls the trigger. When the boss of that player checks the revolver's bullets, he sees the bullet is in the right spot, but his player dies too soon, so he tells Vincent that he is lucky. At that moment, another player just sits still in shock from the madness of the game, but he is forced to keep playing by his boss, and he is dragged away. Soon after, another player who seems to be dead turns out to be still alive. So the referee calls a doctor from the staff to examine him. The doctor says the player cannot continue the death game. Therefore, he is about to be headshot, which causes the boss to protest. He insists his player is still alive, but the committee stands by their rule, and finally, the player is getting a headshot. During a break, a criminal named Patrick asks his boss, Jimmy, how much money the death game organizers pay him to watch over Patrick. But Jimmy refuses to answer. So Patrick tries to make a deal. He offers 50 times the amount Jimmy would earn, but in return, Patrick wants to leave this place. Jimmy asks why. If Patrick has that much money, he even comes here. Patrick answers that the death game organizers kidnapped him and forced him to play. He then offers almost $2 million, but Jimmy still refuses. So Patrick raises the offer to $2.5 million, which makes Jimmy wonder where Patrick gets all that money. Patrick explains that he and 2 of his friends once stole a car filled with money. Both his friends died during the attempt, but he survived and managed to get the money. He now hides that money in a secret location and is willing to go to prison to protect it, so no one could touch it, so that he can get it to his son one day. That's why Patrick chooses to lie and say nothing about the robbery when questioned by the authorities. But Jimmy believes they could both die if they try anything to escape the death game. Still, Patrick doesn't give up on negotiating, and he asks for something to write on. After he finishes writing, he tells Jimmy to take the paper from his pocket if he dies in the game. That paper contains the location where Patrick hides the money. He wants Jimmy to take the money and give half of it to Patrick's son. Jimmy agrees. Meanwhile, one of the bosses, named Jasper, checks how much money he earns and asks the staff. In round 3, each boss is allowed to know which opponent will stand in front of their player. So Jasper is told to pick a number at random, and he gets number 13, which means his player will stand behind Vincent. Jasper informs his player, Ronald, who is also his half-insane brother. Ronald says he hates that number. Seeing Vincent wearing number 13, Ronald intentionally causes trouble by throwing something at Vincent's head and mocking him with a fake headshot gesture. Round 3 begins. The staff positions the players according to the numbers picked by their bosses, regardless of their physical condition. Some are about to faint, and others need vitamin shots. One player's boss asks for a chair, and the staff allows it so the player can sit. After Vincent gets angry at Ronald for his behavior, the referee announces that this round will use 3 bullets, increasing the headshot chance to 50%. When the bulb lights up, several players, especially those who receive the vitamin shot, get headshots. Meanwhile, Vincent, Ronald, and Patrick survive. Finally, the last round arrives. But before it begins, the bosses are asked to pick plastic-wrapped colored balls. There are 3 white and 2 black. Those who get white are immediately game over and go home with their earnings. Those who get black must face each other in the final round. When the bosses unwrap their picks, The ones who get black are Vincent and Ronald. Patrick and the others can go home. While the bosses place their bets on Jasper and Joe, Jimmy escorts Patrick out. But suddenly, Jimmy strangles Patrick with a rope, showing that he wants to take all of Patrick's money for himself. However, one of the staff stops Jimmy and tells him to let go because the death game is over for them, and the bosses can no longer hurt their players. This makes Patrick laugh, because the paper he gave Jimmy earlier is actually blank. He tricked him. Patrick smiles as he retrieves his clothes from the storage box, finally feeling relieved. Meanwhile, many of the bosses prefer to bet on Vincent over Ronald. After Jasper informs Ronald about it, Ronald becomes furious.
Shut your mouth, you Shut your mouth!
He fears he will earn far less than he expected. Still, he is determined to win the money, and even swaps his revolver for one he believes is better suited to kill Vincent. In this final round, the number of bullets remains at 3, keeping the 50% chance of a headshot. The referee tells both players to step forward, and when the bulb lights up, both players fail to shoot a headshot. Since it's a draw, the referee raises the stakes by adding one more bullet into the cylinder, making the chance of a headshot rise to 66.6%. The moment of truth begins. When the bulb lights up again, Ronald shoots first, but the bullet is not in position. Then, without hesitation, Vincent shoots Ronald in the head, and finally, Ronald dies. As a result, Vincent wins, while Jasper cannot believe what just happened, and the death game ends. In a staff room, Vincent receives the total prize of $2 million. The staff comment that Vincent is extremely lucky because his opponent, Ronald, has already won 3 times before in this death game. Vincent then goes to say goodbye to Mr. Joe, but they offer to drive him home, and he agrees by saying he will wait for them in front of the house. However, that is just a trick so he can get away from them, because he doesn't trust Mr. Joe and his group due to the way they talk and behave. So he takes this opportunity to escape through the other side of the house. Meanwhile, the driver fails to find Vincent, but Mr. Joe doesn't really care anymore, since he already earns more money than Vincent does. The next day, Vincent arrives at the station to wait for a train, where he meets the same taxi driver whose car he once rode. When they make eye contact, the driver walks away from Vincent. But later, the driver reports Vincent's location to the police, because, in fact, the driver has been working with them. The police have suspected Vincent from the start, especially since he was at the house where the husband did something unthinkable. This is because the police had already heard rumors about the deadly headshot game, but hadn't been able to find its location. So they had been tracking Vincent from the beginning of his journey to the death game location, but eventually lost his trail after he was dropped off in a remote area. Now that the police know where Vincent is, they can go after him, and Vincent feels threatened. He quickly tries to escape through the back door, but it is locked. So he decides to hide his money bag deep inside a trash bin, and pretends not to know anything when he lets himself get arrested by the police. Vincent then meets with a detective, who assures him that he is not being arrested, only that they want him to give information about the death game. But Vincent lies, making up a false story about his involvement, saying he almost joined the game, but the organizers rejected him. When he notices that one of them wants to pull out a gun, Vincent quickly runs and keeps running. His shoe gets damaged, which he shows as proof to the detective. As the detective continues questioning him, Vincent keeps lying and lying until he finally convinces the detective. Eventually, he is released. He immediately goes back to the trash bin, but the money bag is gone. He assumes the trash has already been collected and mixed with other bags outside. So he frantically searches for it, until he finds the bag still inside one of the trash bags, and finally feels relieved. Vincent then puts all the money into a cardboard box to send it to his beloved mother at home, choosing express delivery so the box can arrive quickly. He asks his mother or someone else to stay at home to receive the package. After hearing the news that his father is still doing fine, Vincent boards a train back to the big city and spends the night resting. The next day, he sees a lamb doll in a shop, his younger sibling's favorite, and decides to buy it, even though it is expensive because the cashier says it's not for sale. While walking through the train station to return to his area, Vincent doesn't realize that Jasper is nearby, relaxing while getting his shoes cleaned. Jasper secretly follows him, and finally, he and Vincent meet again. During the trip inside a quiet train carriage, Vincent sees Jasper staring at him and suspects that he wants revenge for his brother's death. It turns out he is right. So when the train stops at a quiet station, Jasper immediately shoots Vincent 3 times in the stomach and takes his bag. But Jasper doesn't realize that the bag only contains the lamb doll, not the large amount of money. He's been tricked. The 13th movie ends with Vincent pulling out the delivery receipt, then desperately eating the paper, so that neither the authorities nor Jasper can track the money. And finally, Vincent dies from the bleeding he suffers. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss the latest recaps.